And he will be graduating from Lynbrook High School this year, and will be attending Yale University this fall.
I have just graduated from Lynbrook High School. I will be attending Yale University in the fall, and I was a valedictorian, which I'm happy about. Okay, so a little about me before I go into the topics I want to cover today. During my high school career, I was primarily involved in the science club. I was the president this year, and through science club, I was involved in many of the science competitions that Lynbrook participated in, such as, I'll go over those later. I also was involved in many of these community service organizations on campus, California Scholarship Federation, National Chinese Honor Society, National Honor Society, and some other clubs like Future Business Leaders of America. Other activities that I participated in included lab research and also other community service activities that were both inside and out of school. Okay, so the three topics I want to cover today are science competitions, which Mike already covered, but I'll try to expand on that in a different way. Scientific research and community service. So the first, science competitions. Now, when I actually went into high school, I was not particularly interested in science. Actually, I had no interest at all. So in my freshman year, basically, I tried to I tried to go out and look for all these opportunities in multiple clubs. That's why I joined like FBLA and science club. Actually, science club I joined in my sophomore, sorry. So it's even later than freshman year. And basically, I found my interest in science through participating in science competitions. Now, this is not always the case. Sometimes you actually start with an interest in science, but a lot of people actually don't really know what they want to do until they actually try and see that they're actually good at it. So what I found was that I'm pretty good at science. I found that by participating in multiple competitions, and I've listed a few here and divided into individual competitions and team competitions. I won't really go into them, but this is just basically a list, and feel free to go and search them up if you want. But I did participate in Olympiad, science fairs, Siemens, Intel Science Talent Search, not so much math, Science, Olympiad, science, yeah. So once you get really interested in something, you can just do it forever. Okay, what I really want to focus on is scientific research. So as with anything you're interested in, it doesn't have to be science. At some point in time, you're going to have to switch from just doing competitions to actually getting into the nitty-gritty stuff. So, I mean, like, in your future career, in your future job, you're not going to be doing a competition to get money and whatever you want. But you're actually going to do research in the case of science. So I highly encourage you to get involved in scientific research in your high school years if you're interested in science, because it basically allows you to explore any area of interest within science. Now, science is a very, very broad area of study. So, I mean, within science, you have biology, chemistry, and physics. And for example, within biology, you have all sorts of things: neurobiology, plant biology, physiology, virology, things like that. So the list goes on, and you can really find something specific you're interested in. Also challenges you to apply your knowledge to problems. So when you're doing competitions, just basic science competitions, you'll realize that you're basically just studying from a textbook and applying what you know from the textbook to just like regular questions. So it's just kind of, at some point you'll find that it's kind of boring. That was my case. So what I found out about research was that you're actually able to apply your knowledge that you gain from those textbooks to actual problems, to actual questions that have never been answered before in the realm of science. And so that was actually really, really interesting just because there was this unknown that needed to be found out. So that's what really drew me to research, and it might draw you to research as well. Also, I found that both the process and the product are rewarding. So that's not always the case. The product, the result, you may not really like. Sometimes it's something that totally disagrees with your hypothesis. But definitely the process is very, very interesting. You'll find that just conducting lab experiments on a day-to-day basis, consulting with other people in your lab, with other researchers, that whole entire process is actually very rewarding. Just because you have that feeling of constantly progressing towards your result, and that's what I found was rewarding about scientific research. Now, also there's skills you may learn from scientific research. For one, you can strengthen your ability to work with others. Now, for science competitions, you can certainly do that by working with others on a team. But I found that in the case of scientific research, you really go a step beyond that. Because basically, when you're in the lab, everything you have to do has to be done very carefully. I mean, some lab experiments go on for the course of many years even. Some are very short, but sometimes you can mess up an entire, 10 years worth of experiments. That's not the case for me, but with just like one mistake. So you have to do everything very, very meticulously, very carefully. And if you don't warn someone else about your experiment, if they accidentally change something about your experiment that totally alters it, then you are in major trouble. So you've just wasted a whole chunk of your life. Not to sound scary or anything, but basically, communication in the lab is very, very important. You always have to let other people in the lab know what's going on about your project. You can't do anything on your. It's very. A lot of the times, you're going to have the help of others in order to succeed in your experiment. Sometimes someone might know something more about a particular experimental procedure, and you have to consult with them in order to learn about that procedure, or just to get ideas. So it's really important that you talk with others, and this is a skill that will be helpful in your life in anything you do, because you're always going to be surrounded by people, and you always are going to have to talk with them. You can't do anything by yourself. Oh, and a little about myself. I did go to Cosmos Biotechnology Cluster and was a research intern at one of the labs at Stanford for 2 summers.